Hello. In the previous video, we looked at word class, also known as parts of speech. From this video onwards, we will look at each of those parts of speech in some detail. In this video, we will study nouns. A noun is a part of speech that is used to name a person, place, thing, quality, or action. Now, this is something that you are already familiar with. Noun is a naming word. It is a part of speech that is used to name a person, place, thing, animal, quality, etc. Now, how does a noun function in a sentence? Or where in a sentence can a noun come? Where all can a noun come? A noun can function as subject, object, complement, appositive, or object of a preposition. Now, what does this mean? Look at the examples and it will become clearer. In the sentence, winter is cold, winter is a noun that functions as the subject of the sentence. Winter is cold. In the second sentence, she loved winter. Here we can see that winter, the noun, functions as the object of the action verb loved. She loved winter. What did she love? She loved winter. So winter is the object. So the same noun, winter, can be used as the subject of a sentence or the object of the sentence. In the third sentence, she is a poet. The noun poet functions as a complement. It completes the meaning, or rather, it gives more information about the subject of the sentence, which is she. She is a poet. What is she? She is a poet. But here, even though a poet is the answer to the question, what is she? A poet is not the object of the sentence. This is because the verb in the sentence is not an action verb like loved in the previous sentence, but rather a linking verb like is, be, have, do. These are all linking verbs. So she is a poet. Here, the noun poet functions as a complement. In the fourth sentence, her friend Ray loved summer. The word ray is a noun, but this noun is used as an appositive. That means it is used alongside another noun to give more information about that noun. So here, her friend Ray. So Ray is a noun, friend is also a noun, but Ray is used as an appositive to give more information about the noun friend. So her friend loved the summer, but which friend? Her friend Ray. So like that, this is a usage of a noun as an appositive. Her friend Ray loved summer. And in the fifth sentence, we can see how a noun functions as the object of a preposition. They lived by the lake. They lived by the lake. Lake is the noun and lake is the object of the preposition by. Where did they live? They lived by the lake. So it is the object of the preposition by. We will study prepositions in more detail later. But for now, we see what are the different ways in which a noun can function in a sentence. It can function as the subject of the sentence, the object of the sentence, a complement, an appositive, or the object of a preposition. Now we will move on to the different types of nouns. First of all, we can distinguish between proper versus common nouns. Common nouns refer to a group of similar things: table, book, window, etc. So, when you say table, it refers to everything that can come under this group or this genus called table. Everything that has the shape of a table, that functions as a table, can be called a table. Book, there are many kinds of books, but all of them can be called book. Window, so these are all common nouns. They are common. There are many like them. But proper nouns are much more unique. Proper nouns refer to the name of a single entity. It can be the name of a person, the proper name of a person like Indira, a place like India, or even a thing or an object that is very specific, like if you have a car, that is a Maruti. When you call it a car, then you are using the common noun car, but Maruti refers to a specific kind of car that is made by the company called Maruti. Like that, if you're talking about your phone, your cell phone, a cell phone or a mobile is a common noun, but if it's a Samsung phone and you're going to say that this is my Samsung phone, then the word Samsung, which refers to a product made by a very specific company, then the noun Samsung is a proper noun. Now, one important distinguishing feature between proper nouns and common nouns is that proper nouns do not take plural forms or determiners. So, normally proper nouns do not take plural forms. Common nouns can be singular and plural, whereas proper nouns, because they refer to a single entity, are always singular, normally. Sometimes, very figuratively, you can say things like there are two Indias, the India of the rich and the India of the poor. So there you can say two Indias, but that is a figurative usage. Normally, you do not use plural forms with proper nouns. Again, proper nouns do not take determiners. We will discuss determiners in greater detail later, but determiners mean words that you add in front of a noun, like articles, a, and, the, or other words showing words like some, any, many. These are determiners. They show quality, quantity, something like that. So, common nouns can take determiners, but proper nouns do not usually take determiners, except in the case of, say, countries like the United States, the United Kingdom. That is different because it is not exactly, you don't say the Britain or the America, but when you say the United States or the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, then you can use those are some exceptions. Normally, proper nouns do not take plural forms, they do not take determiners, but common nouns can take plural forms as well as determiners. Now, there is also a different kind of noun called collective noun. A collective noun describes a group of things or people as a unit. So it is a group, but it describes that group as a single unit, and therefore grammatically it is generally singular. So examples for collective nouns are family, flock, team, audience, etc. And this refers to a group. A family refers to a group of people, but it is described as a single unit, as a singular entity. So grammatically it is singular. This family lives in this particular house. So you say this family lives here and not this family live here. Lives, because it is singular. Some examples of sentences with collective nouns are: the Indian team has won the match. The Indian team has won the match, even though the cricket team it consists of 11 members, you still say the team has won the match because the team is a single unit, so grammatically it is singular. Similarly, the audience was listening intently. Not the audience were listening, but the audience was listening, because even though there are many people in the audience, they function as a single unit. So these are examples of collective nouns. Next, abstract versus concrete nouns. Abstract nouns name an idea, event, quality, concept, etc. These are things that cannot be sensed with our sense organs. You cannot actually touch them or taste them or things like that. So abstract nouns are basically concepts or ideas like freedom, love, courage. So you cannot touch freedom, you cannot see love, you cannot hear courage, but they are things that you can feel in a different way, in a mental way, in a more conceptual way. So they are abstract nouns. Concrete nouns, on the example, are things that concrete nouns name things that are recognizable through the senses. For example, table, dog, house, etc. You can touch them, see them, you can grasp them, etc. Another classification of nouns is of animate versus inanimate nouns. Animate nouns refer to living things, animate, a person, animal, or other creature, man, elephant, chicken, etc. So, living things are referred to using animate nouns, whereas inanimate nouns refer to material objects or non-living things like stone, wood, table, etc. Now, one thing that you can keep in mind is that in some grammar books, they also mention a very specific type of nouns called material nouns. So, material nouns refer very specifically to materials like gold, silver, wood, stone, etc. So, those are, in some cases, you can consider them to be a subcategory of concrete nouns, but in some grammar books they are considered to be a completely different type of nouns on their own. So you can even include that material nouns: gold, silver, wood, stone, marble, all those things which refer to materials. The next type of nouns are compound nouns. You have already studied compounding as a form of word formation. So compound nouns are nouns that are formed by this process called compounding. They refer to two or more words which combine together to form a single noun. Now, in these two or more words, all those words don't need to be noun. Maybe only one word will be a noun, or maybe all of those words will be nouns. That doesn't matter so long as the combined word, the new word that is formed, is a single noun. So examples are sister-in-law, schoolboy, fruit juice, etc. And here you can see that some of these compound nouns are hyphenated, some are given as two separate words like fruit juice, and some are given as a single word like schoolboy. All these are possibilities. And how do we form plurals in compound nouns? That is actually an interesting point, because it depends on different type of compound nouns. So in the first case, where we have hyphenated words like father-in-law, sister-in-law, passerby, etc., then we have the plural formation as fathers-in-law, not father-in-laws, but fathers-in-law, sisters-in-law, passers-by, etc. In these cases, what we can also see is that fathers, passer, father or passer, these are nouns, right? And they are the most important nouns in that particular word. So we add the S, we add the plural formation to that particular word. So in these hyphenated words like sister-in-law, father-in-law, passer-by, we have plural formation not at the end of the word but in the middle: sisters-in-law, fathers-in-law, passers-by. But in the case of compound words which are written as single words, we usually have the plural formation at the end: boyfriend, plural boyfriends; school child, plural school children, etc. Another type of nouns or another category of nouns is countable nouns versus uncountable nouns. Countable nouns are also called count nouns. They have a singular and a plural form, so you can count them. In plural, these nouns can be used with a number. That means they can be counted. So examples of countable nouns or count nouns are friends, chairs, houses, boys, etc. So you can say a friend, two friends, three chairs, several houses, 8 boys. So they can be used with a number. They can also have both singular and plural forms. These are countable nouns. Uncountable nouns are also called non-count nouns. They can only be used in singular. They cannot be counted. For example, money, bread, water, coffee, etc. So you don't say monies, breads, waters, coffees. You don't say that. Rather, you say money, bread, water, coffee, and you use them as singular. Sometimes in our casual usage, you might say, I want two coffees or I want one coffee, but that is not considered to be the proper form of usage. So, if you want to say, to use an uncountable noun in a countable sense, then you have to use a phrase like, for example, a slice of bread or a loaf of bread, a glass of water, 2 cups of coffee, a sack full of money, a purse full of money. These are the ways in which you can use uncountable nouns in a countable sense. Now, this is something that you know already, that many nouns, especially the common nouns, the countable common nouns, can be singular or plural. And the plural form of a noun is usually formed by adding s or es at the end of the noun. Boy, boys. Bus, buses. So these are some examples of regular plural formation. But sometimes there are exceptions to the rule. Many words in English are actually exceptions to this rule, and such plural formations which do not use the addition of s or es at the end of the word are called irregular plurals. Irregular plurals. Examples are the plural of fish is fish itself. You don't say fishes. It's fish, fish. Man, men. Here you don't add an S at the end, but rather you change the vowel in the midst of that word. Same for tooth, teeth. Man, men, tooth, teeth. Then there are many words ending with F or FE, like leaf, the plural is leaves. Wife, the plural is wives. Wolf, the plural is wolves, etc. And of course, there are also words where the plural is formed with the addition of en at the end. Child, children. Ox, oxen. These are all examples of irregular plurals. Many nouns can also be used in a possessive sense. Possessive nouns are nouns that possess something. Usually they are depicted by adding the genitive marker apostrophe s to the end of the noun. Apostrophe s. So you take a noun and at the end of that noun you add apostrophe s, then that means that noun is now a possessive noun. It shows that that noun possesses something. So for example, you have a noun boy, but when you say the boy's father, then the boy becomes a possessive noun, and using the genitive marker apostrophe s, the boy's, and what does the boy possess? Father. The boy's father means the father of the boy, the father who belongs to the boy. Next one, the cat's toy. The toy that belongs to the cat. So apostrophe s added to cat shows that the cat possesses something. What does the cat possess? The toy. Next, the car's window. India's population. So you can see that apostrophe s can be added to a variety of nouns in order to show the possessive form of that noun. The same rule, just adding apostrophe s to the end of the noun, that same rule applies for singular nouns that end in s. For example, you have a word like boss. It already ends in s, but still you can add apostrophe s. The boss's house, the walrus's mouth, Paris's streets, the streets of Paris, Paris's streets. However, for plural nouns ending in s, only an apostrophe is used at the end. For plural nouns ending in s, you don't add apostrophe s, you just add an apostrophe. That is all that is needed. For example, the chicken's eggs, the fox's lair. Chickens is already plural, so you don't write chickens apostrophe s, rather you just add an apostrophe to chickens. The fox's lair, foxes is already plural, it ends with s, so you don't add apostrophe s, you don't say foxes, but rather you just say foxes and then you add an apostrophe. So possessive nouns show possession of something, you add apostrophe s to the end of the noun. To almost all nouns Even if the noun ends in s, if it is singular, you can still add apostrophe s. But if a noun ends in s and it is plural, then you normally just add an apostrophe. You do not add apostrophe s. Now, we know that there is a process of word formation called conversion, in which words belonging to one part of speech are used as another part of speech in a sentence. And the specific process by which words belonging to another part of speech are used as nouns is called nominalization. Nominalization refers to the process by which a word which is usually considered to be an adjective or a verb or something else is used as a noun in a sentence. The most famous examples, or the simplest examples, are words like the fast and the furious, the bold and the beautiful, the rich and the poor, the old and the young. These are all the underlined words in these phrases are usually used as adjectives, but here they are used as nouns. And we can see that this process of nominalization in these particular examples is by the addition of the article the in front of those adjectives like fast, furious, etc. So you can say she is fast. And when you say she is fast, here fast is used as an adjective. But when you say the fast and the furious, there fast is used as a noun. So this is an example of nominalization. Nominalization doesn't have to be only from adjective to nouns, but from any part of speech to nouns. So now to sum up the characteristics of nouns. Nouns are words that refer to the names of entities. They can be proper nouns or common nouns. They can refer to a specific entity, in which case they are proper nouns, or they can refer to general entities. Then they are common nouns. Now common nouns can be either singular or plural, and plural formation we have already looked at. And common nouns can also be preceded by articles or determiners. The articles in English are a, an and the two indefinite articles a and an, and the definite article the. And determiners are words that precede nouns like this, that, some, many, all, any, etc. All these can be used in front of common nouns. Nouns can be modified by adjectives. Adjectives can be used to modify nouns. And nouns can also signify possession with the addition of the genitive marker apostrophe s. These are the important characteristics of nouns. Thank you.